Hi, welcome to Silver Strands. I'm here with Irene and MJ, and my name is Marlena, and we are going to talk to you today about what it's like to be a young mom and trying to take care of your home. Does either one of you or both of you have a short story about what it was like for you to take care of your home when your children were small?
Well, when my children were small, I would always make a game out of things or I'd wait till nap time. But it was very difficult, as you can imagine, having two children and then one on the way, or I don't know what everybody's situation is like, but that's what it was like for me. Two little kids and then, one on the way, or be babysitting other children, as I always had a family daycare center. So I would have to be fairly organized in my home and my housekeeping skills so people wouldn't trip or get hurt. And I would sing constantly. Let's do the 5 minute cleanup time just to, get to the next transition of, now, we're having free play, and then we're going to have art time. So I would always have, we must clean up one thing before we start another. I was always very firm in being organized that way. And I guess that comes from being, my grandfather was a military man. So everything had to be, okay, you got to do this, and then it's time for this, then it's time for this. And that's exactly the way I did it. And I would be constantly singing the cleanup song, clean up, and basically that's what I did. How about you, MJ?
Well, I came from a family that I think what I remember is a lot of entertaining, a lot of entertainment. We had guests at our house and stuff. My mom she came from a girls' home. She lost her parents when she was younger, so she was brought up in a girls' home. So her lifestyle was, much different than the uh, whatever you want to call it, the norm of having parents there to raise you. So I think I take a different route, route, whatever. Um, with us, when my kids were little, we would crank up the music, and we had a couple of songs. Express Yourself, we'd have that one cranked right up, and we were gonna dance our way through picking up stuff. And half the time it didn't really go very far because we would get so caught up with dancing. But I feel, I'm a past messy, hopeful, clean person. But always feeling that, your children want to involve themselves. My oldest grandson, he had birthdays that were the theme was chores. Our one of our nephews, when he was outside hanging out with my husband, he was helping him put like rocks in the trailer. And you know our view of things are a little bit different. Our nephew was taking the rocks and gently putting them in the trailer, and my husband would just kind of throw them in there so he could get him to see that it's okay to throw them. It's okay to make a noise. So it was the opposite kind of the thinking where you got to have everything in a row. I always believed in creativity, so my way of doing things is quite different from others. And I say it's okay. It's okay because they have little signs that you can see at stores or whatever where it says that if your house is messy, that's because it's well lived in. And I just feel like that's me, that my children, my grandchildren have found their own path of how to take care of their homes. And, you know, they probably have learned what not to do, like what from whatever, they were brought up, and that's fine, because we are a ministry in ourselves, right? We're either going to minister good things or we're going to minister bad things. And, like it says, God will take whatever is not so good and he can use it for the good. So, my children, I've got one that is very much in order, and then I have another one that is much like me, and he's on the creative side, and both are I love them. I love their ways and how they see stuff. And I think the encouragement is to be who you are in the place that you're in, and do the best that you can, and be content with that. I think that would be my my point of view of keeping your house in order. I mean, obviously you have a certain amount of place in that where you don't want to be living in a, I don't, pigsty or whatever you want to call it. You don't want to live that way. um but if you struggle almost to that point, I would encourage you to just be okay with you, and just either take the tips that we all have, take the stuff that you know were not so good and learn from them, take the stuff that you find good and expound on those, and again, be at peace with where you're at. I think that's the biggest cleanup crew that you could have, is to be able to walk forward, knowing that you have peace that passes all understanding. Because if your mind is chaotic, and I get it, if your house is chaotic, lots of times your mind is chaotic. But if you struggle with that God has a way about covering you, so that it can be um, it can be brought out in little increments, and important to just stay content with where you're at, but not so content that you don't move, that you just little things, give yourself a win, like, yay, I got that little shelf all straightened out, and give yourself a win, and don't be hard on yourself. So that's yeah, yeah.
But it,
So, what is one thing that you each try to do for spring cleaning? Just one thing. What's your most important thing that you do every spring that for spring cleaning?
Oh, for me, it's definitely getting rid of all of the winter stuff. I mean, it's like Christmas time. The best thing about after Christmas is that when you're putting everything away, there's like this newness. Like there's this, your mind is saying you're coming into a new year, so everything is like new. So you're getting rid of all of, you're putting, I shouldn't say getting rid of, but you're putting away all of that uh challenge of the holidays. You're putting it away, and you're going into a fresh start. Well, the same is for when we're leaving winter time, that yay, we can finally put these snowsuits away. We can finally put these snow boots, hats, mittens, all those things, and you know put them away. And then there's like this room, like, wow, what am I going to do with this room? And so that would be for me.
basically
Irene, what's one thing?
too.
Yeah.
Basically, that's me too, getting rid of winter clothes. Well, not rid of them, put them away in boxes and put them in storage, and get my spring and summer stuff out. Because
Nice.
where I live, you can have, 4 seasons in one day. So keep a couple of stuff.
Yeah. When we lived up north, we didn't put away snowsuits because it was actually a thing that it snowed any time of the year. When we first moved to Laramie, Wyoming, it snowed on the 4th of July. It's just a bizarre, it's so high up. Yeah, it was the first day we moved there. We drove in and we had left Phoenix at 121 or 122 degrees a few days prior, and we drove in on the 4th of July to Wyoming, and it was snowing. And yeah, what do you do? And we were like, are they even going to have fireworks? Yep, they still had fireworks. No problem. Just one of those things. So sometimes you don't get to put all of that away. So I did a little bit of research just to kind of for my own head, right? But some of it's kind of interesting. In the early 1900s and way before that, spring cleaning meant that you cleaned everything. So you started at the top of the house and you moved your way down. So if you had more than one level, you would start at the second floor, the third floor, and you would move down in the springtime, top to bottom. You would pull all of your draperies. You would pull all of those, take them outside, wash them, spot clean, hang them outside to air them out. And then they would pull all the furniture out of one room. They would soap it down everything, polish it up, make it really, sparkle. And then they would take on the walls and the carpets because most people burn coal, and coal leaves a film everywhere that it's burned, right? So they would have to wash all of the walls, and because the wallpapers and stuff that they used would collect the coal powder, and so they would have to clean the walls. So back then that's just what they did. Then they would spot clean rugs and carpets and get all of that swept through, get everything dusted, polish all of the glass, polish all the silver, and every single thing was literally handled in the spring, back in the 1800s. Now in the 1950s, there was this idea that this had been going on for all of eternity, and so women kind of took over the idea that their house had to be perfect. And so they would do some of the same things, pull the draperies, dust every shelf, clean the knickknacks, polish the silver, things like that. Here in the
They
2000s,
they would also do it probably wearing dresses, right? Like
they did do it.
almost
Well,
like
they always did,
yeah.
High
in
heels and
1900s.
lipstick.
Yeah, and in the 50s, you're right, the high heels and lipstick, and it was expected to be done. But honestly, I mean, I remember my grandmother telling me that they didn't wear their heels and their nice dresses. They did use their aprons to cover up their clothing so that their clothes wouldn't get messy, but they did dress down for spring cleaning and to get things done. Put, some kind of covering over their hair so that the dust wouldn't fall in to their hair, and do the things that they did. Now we're in the 2000s. We're in 2025. Yes, we are. I mean, we're a quarter of the way into the 2000s, and um, my idea of spring cleaning is to pick one thing that is super, super important to me. And it's not cleaning the walls, right? I tend to clean my blinds and my curtains on, about twice a year, just because of the dust. In Wyoming, the dust is so prevalent that is literally as soon as you dust off a surface, the dust has already landed again. So those are kinds of things I would do on a regular basis just because of where I lived. But I have found that for me, decluttering is a really a bigger issue. For most of the people I know, decluttering is a bigger issue. You can't even clean anything if there's stuff piled, right? I can't clean my desk if there's piles of paper on the desk. I can't clean my floor if there's piles of clothes and things that I brought in from the store and a pile of books that I was intending to read and, the craft items that the kids left over. I can't clean anything when there's piles of stuff. So spring for me is a really big deal. And this is the time of the year where I try to get everything in its place. And if I don't have a place for it, now I've got to figure out where that's going to be. And that might mean getting rid of something in order to replace it with the newer item that I want to hold on to that serves my life purposes better. But I think it's a really big deal to get those things put away in order to do any kind of basic cleaning at all. We should all be basic cleaning every week, regardless of what that looks like for you. I have lists, and eventually those will be on my new website, and you can always follow a list. Fly Lady has a list that is monumental and amazing to watch, but it's not something I can personally follow through on. um Clutterbug, she has lists also. Most people who organize have cleaning lists, right? But the problem is you can't clean unless the stuff is out of the way. So right now, I'll show you something. This is horrible. This is my bedside table, and this is how I live. It's got my mother's Bible.
Oh, sorry, Marlena, we can't hear you.
How can you not hear me?
I don't know, it just got muffled.
Microphone.
That's weird, isn't it? Okay. So
Nope.
that's my bedside table.
Yeah.
And it has my mother's Bible because she passed recently, and it just gives me comfort. It's got a book to read. I've got a notepad. I've got my phone. I've got some cards that need to go out today because I've got birthdays to look at. My cup of water. I've got a clock, but I also have trash that needs to be picked up from the weekend that I haven't done anything about. I can't dust this table until everything's off of it. So in the 1900s, like I said, they would remove everything from a whole room and clean it outside. And then they would go back into that room and they would clean down the walls, then they would clean the carpets and they would clean the windows, and then they would move everything that was clean back in. We don't have that today. That's just not a thing anymore. And unless you want that or need that, I don't even recommend it. What I recommend is getting rid of the clutter. So, my first step is to always get rid of the trash. The trash is a really big deal. Get it out of the way. It's the first thing you see every time you walk into a room. Get rid of the trash. The second thing is to put away anything that is big, something that is just always in the way. Get it out of the way, put it where it belongs, and make sure it's just not in your way anymore. And then the third thing is the paperwork. Get all the papers put into your files or the shredder or, your inbox, but put them where they belong so that they're not piling up on the tables next to you. It's a big deal. Cups and dishes need to be taken care of. And so if you're doing your dishes every day, which you should, do your dishes every day, that's not something that I recommend lying around, then you can go around the house, have the kids pick up the dishes. I was told something really strange the other day, that young moms now feel like they can't clean their house because they're not spending enough time with their children. And I've got to tell you, that's a lie. It's a lie from Satan, and God is a God of order. And if you want to be more like God, then cleaning your house is necessary. And you are not putting off your children for the cleaning of your house. Your house shouldn't take more than an hour max every day, unless you're doing a major spring clean project. And like I said, I wouldn't empty a whole room or a whole house. I would just find the thing that's really the most important to you. But you can also spend time with your kids teaching them how to clean up, And that is absolutely legit. Um, like Irene said, the 5 minute cleanup game, using the cleanup song is a great way to draw your kids into helping pick up the house. And it's a very legitimate thing to do to teach them how to do that. We've talked before about making sure our children are able to take care of themselves when they're older, and taking care of themselves is teaching them how to take care of ourselves. So, by making sure your spring cleaning is done, like I said, the one thing that's really the most important to you, to me, it's decluttering. To the girls, it's putting away winter. Um, all of that is valid. If you smoke in your house, cleaning the walls is valid. If you have smells in your house from cooking or from pets, cleaning the walls might be valid. And it's not something to sneeze at, but I wouldn't make it so huge that you can't put your house back together. So, like MJ said, make sure that your cleanup is something you're willing to live with, something that you're comfortable with. But please don't get comfortable with filth. Don't get comfortable with that. It brings on sickness in your house. It can bring in rodents, bugs that you don't want, um, uh, fleas and ticks and bed bugs. They thrive, roaches, they thrive in filthy environments. You don't want those. So, in order to get up on ahead of that, ants, they look for sugars and stuff, and they will make their way in. And once one ant has come in, the other ants follow because they leave a trail behind them, off of their feet. So, you want to make sure that the filth is not something that's an issue in your home, and that's making sure that everything's picked up so that you can clean it. So I encourage you to find the best way to get your house clean. And if you need help, I can help you. My websites are almost built, and I will have cleaning lists for children, and I will have help for moms. But I really do encourage you to find the place where you're comfortable so that you can invite your friends and your family into your home and enjoy your home, but also so that you're not getting yourself sick, or anybody else who comes in for that matter. Make sure nobody's getting sick, by having the surfaces clean. You want to use cleaners, and even if it's as simple as um, vinegar, you want to use something to clean up so that your surfaces are not getting anybody sick. And that would be what I have to say about spring cleaning. I think it's an important thing to think about. So I hope that encourages people.
Well, thank you.
Anybody else? No,
I think you just about covered it.
I hope so. That's what I do best. Well, if you have questions, please leave them below. Like MJ always says, please leave your prayer requests below, because we do enjoy praying for you all. And we just hope that this spring is exciting and fun. And if you missed our prior YouTube, please go back and see it, because it was a lot of fun talking about fairy gardens and the things that you can do for spring. So enjoy.
Okay. See you.